Razgatlioglu, your provisional pole sitter here in Estoril. He's had 5 poles in 2025 thus far, and will likely secure the Superpole award as well this weekend. Did see his run of 3 consecutive poles brought to an end at the Aragon round last time out, but still 12 consecutive front row starts and a very impressive qualifying effort in the opening stint from Toprak Razgatlioglu, who leads the way. Nicolo Bulega among the first riders to start their second stint here, has got a big gap to bridge of almost 0.7 of a second.
Bulega's the fastest rider in the first sector, so don't be surprised if he has a red sector in sector 1. It's sector 2 and 3 where Razgatlioglu has a bit of an edge.
Yeah, we saw Bautista up in sector 1 as well. Something of a surprise because Toprak usually goes well through the opening sector, particularly the heavy braking in towards turn 1.
Yeah, it just seems this is a part of the track where the Ducati's working well. This is the area where the BMW seems to find a little bit more as well as we ride on board with Jonathan Rea. And you can see just Rea losing that little bit of contact now with Bulega on their first flying lap. 1/10 of a second in the first sector, and it's going to be another couple of tenths of a second at the halfway stage.
Nicolo Bulega 5th on the grid here last season, actually his worst Superpole result to date, one of only 4 times that he's qualified off the front row in his 2 WorldSBK seasons, but very much chasing a pole position here this morning. 0.5 of a second down at the halfway mark on his first lap of his second stint.
It's a personal best in the second sector for Bulega, but not a big jump compared to where he was on his previous lap. He's found time though in sector 3, fastest time of all in sector 3.
Golden opportunity here then for Nicolo Bulega, 1/10 of a second up after 3 completed sectors.
The biggest problem is the final sector on his first stint. He was a lot slower than Razgatlioglu. He needs to find 3 or 4 tenths compared to Toprak there, but looks a lot tidier this lap.
Well, we know from the Superpole race last season that Bulega can get off that final turn. Drag race to the line then, 1:34.669 to beat, set by Toprak Razgatlioglu in his opening stint. Nicolo Bulega comes across the line, and it is provisional pole by 1/10 of a second for Nicolo Bulega, a 1:34.549, but Toprak Razgatlioglu answers back in the opening sector of his second stint.
Yeah, Toprak up by 1/10 of a second in sector 1, and finding that time just about to come through onto the back straight. So Razgatlioglu looks like he's got a pretty clear track in front of him as he came past our commentary box.
And Nicolo Bulega's lap time there overshadowing Jonathan Rea's effort to get himself up provisionally onto the front row of the grid. He's got a lot of competition though to hold on to it. Alvaro Bautista most notably, Andrea Locatelli as well. Don't sleep on Alex Lowe's, and Remy Gardner having a good lap here. Now Gardner put in a good lap in free practice 3 earlier on today as well.
Yeah, Remy up inside the top 3 rows of the grid. If Yamaha are able to come away with 3 bikes up inside the top 9, they've done well. Toprak though, he's doing well on this lap, up by 2/10 of a second into that final sector.
This then is Remy Gardner, just 16th on the grid here at his first Estoril round last year. It was his worst Superpole of the 2024 campaign. It's looking like being his best in 2025. He crosses the line fractionally slower than Jonathan Rea. It's P4 from Remy Gardner, and that does raise a round of applause from his team GRT. But it's all about Toprak Razgatlioglu, 2/10 of a second up after 3 completed sectors. Bulega has taken top spot from Razgatlioglu. Razgatlioglu answers back a 1:34.203, 3/10 of a second faster than Bulega's time. Alvaro Bautista moves up onto the front row of the grid. Xavi Vierque had gone P3. Alex Lowe's bettered that. Bautista goes faster still, and this is a golden opportunity now for Alvaro Bautista.
Yeah, Rea Gardner and Locatelli on the Yamahas all relegated down to 7th, 8th and 9th position now. Sorry, 6th, 7th and 8th as Toprak tries to keep going. He's 1/10 of a second down in sector 1. We saw he was able to do 2 laps on his first stint, but down by 1/10 in the first sector.
Alvaro Bautista currently in P3. Remember, 6th on the grid last time out in Aragon, and that was his best since Cremona. And chasing his first front row start of the season was P4 at the Australian and the Italian rounds, and that's as good as it's got for him in Superpole in 2025 thus far. So obviously Sam Lowe's is absent, Danilo Petrucci's absent, certainly helps the cause of Alvaro Bautista, but he went faster in his second stint than he did in his first, and he snatched back that P3.
Yeah, really good to see from Alvaro, really important as well. Obviously he's fighting it out for 3rd in the championship. Petrucci isn't here, so it should be a case for Alvaro where he's able just to focus on his own job this week rather than thinking about that 3rd in the championship.
Axel Bassani losing a little bit of ground in sector 3. He's provisionally on the 3rd row of the grid, 5 places behind teammate Alex Lowe's. and Bassani's challenge would have been to try and get onto the second row of the grid.
The rider behind is the one to keep an eye on. Ryan Vickers on course for a really good lap, and we know how motivated Ryan is after everything that's happened this weekend, with confirmation that he won't be on the Moto Corsa bike next year.
Yeah, said yesterday to me that he's expecting to announce his plans for 2026 in the coming days after his split from Moto Corsa, and he crosses the line there to go P11, so fourth row of the grid for Ryan Vickers.
Still got time for one more lap, those riders. The checkered flag just going out now, and that's the end of the session.
Chance for Jonathan Rea to improve here as well, as he follows Nicolo Bulega around off the final turn. The two of them are going to go side by side. Rea was up on his personal best after sector 3. Will Jonathan Rea improve? No. He loses ground in the final sector, but remains in P6.
Good for Johnny, though. Second row of the grid means that into turn 1, we know the Yamaha gets off the line well. We know that Ray's going to give himself that chance to be aggressive into turn 1, and that'll be his opportunity to pick off some places. You can see there a little bit of communication between the 65 and the 11 there. Thumbs up from Bulega, and Johnny just giving his appreciation as well.
Yeah, Jonathan Rea in P6 on the grid, and that will be only the second time this season that he's qualified as well as the second row of the grid. Of course, he was P8 last time out at the Aragon round, so I think Rea will be pleased with that, an opportunity to really go at the front in those early laps. Now, we did see in free practice that there was a significant drop-off for Rea from around lap 8 onwards, but certainly the first 6-7 laps, and when you think about the Superpole race tomorrow as well, the opportunity is there for Jonathan Rea.
Yeah, it really is, and just when you look at the times here as well, Xavi Vierge just coming around, he's not going to improve his time, but a third of a second between Toprak and Bulega, and then another 6/10 back to Bautista, and then it's really close for half a second, taking you down all the way to fifth row of the grid. But Bulega and Razgatlioglu have a very clear advantage here in terms of the right pace.
So your positions on the grid for race 1 this afternoon and tomorrow morning's Tissot Superpole race. Toprak Razgatlioglu takes pole by 0.3 of a second over Nicolo Bulega. Alvaro Bautista on the front row of the grid for the first time this season. Second row of the grid for Alex Lowe's, P4 on the Promoter. Xavi Vierge, P5. That's a brilliant result as far as Vierge is concerned, and in fact matches his best ever grid position, set P5 in Cremona earlier on this campaign. The third time in 2025 that he's qualified as well as the second row of the grid. Jonathan Rea completes row 2. Remy Gardner, Andrea Locatelli and Axel Bassani, your third row of the grid. Bit of a shame for Andrea Iannone to find himself only down in P10. I expected somewhat more on the basis of his performance yesterday.